Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Adam Eisen Show. We're on to episode 33 this week after the Golden State Warriors just beat the Boston Celtics to claim their fourth NBA championship in 8 years. We're going to jump into that and a bunch of other topics today, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're starting it off with Golden State Warriors, Boston Celtics. Golden State, they won in 6 games. To close out the series, they went to Boston and put it away. And the big question that I see going around media nowadays after this win is, are the Golden State Warriors a dynasty, and where do they rank if they are? And I'm here to tell you why I believe the Golden State Warriors are a dynasty and possibly one of the most fun and best dynasties we have ever been able to watch. Now, the Warriors, they're not just a dynasty because of their 4 titles in 8 years. That's incredible, don't get me wrong. But they're a dynasty because your college basketball team, your AAU team, your high school, your middle school, your little league basketball team, that's what you want your team to play like. The fluidity, the ability to shoot, the chemistry, the leadership, the defense. The Warriors, they're smarter than you, they're more selfless than you, they play better defense than you, and they develop better players than you. Golden State has put on and showed us how to run an organization at a world-class level. There's been few organizations, few basketball teams, few football, few MLB, that have ever played the sport at such a beautiful way, played their given sport at such a beautiful way. That is why they are a dynasty. Because the Warriors, they make up the essence of the sport. The essence of basketball. The essence is to win, do it fundamentally, pass the ball, things like that. They have the best owner, they have the best coach, they have the best GM, and they have the best, most selfless star, selfless, in Steph Curry. In my opinion, it could be the easiest dynasty that we have ever had to root for. I found myself during this NBA Finals rooting for the Golden State Warriors, despite them just winning 3 of the last 7 titles, having one of the most stacked teams in the whole league for 2 years. I found myself rooting for the Warriors. I was rooting for these guys who shouldn't have had to go out there and prove their greatness, and yet they did. Klay Thompson, he's one of the nicest NBA basketball players we have ever seen, who shouldn't have had to go through the pain and injuries that he did for 2 years. But he still had to go out there and prove himself. Steph Curry, one of the most selfless stars in the league, a guy who's transformed everything, won unanimous MVP. He had to go out there and prove himself after 2 years. 2 years ago, they were at the bottom of the league. And for the last 2 years, they hadn't made the playoffs. Andrew Wiggins, who, if you all remember, he was drafted back 2014, 2015, number 1 overall pick. He had since been ruled a bust and came in and worked extremely hard, and he worked out like he should have from day one in this league. And no one outside of Steve Kerr knew exactly how good Andrew Wiggins is. Let me tell you that. Everybody who was doubting Steve Kerr, taking on Andrew Wiggins, thinking he's going to work, whose opinion you going to take? Yours or Steve Kerr's? I'm going with Steve Kerr's opinion that Andrew Wiggins is a damn good player. KD bailed on them a couple years ago. They suffered multiple injuries. They were the worst team in the league 2 years ago. I know I already mentioned that. That's just really easy for me to root for and to love. They find guys, their GM, their organization, they go out and they find guys in the second round. They find Steph Curry out of Davidson, all this. They get guys that will stay there and develop and get chemistry and get culture and have passion and stick around for 2 years. 90% of the stars in this league would have bailed on Golden State in Steph Curry's position. But you know what he said? He sat up there at the press conference after getting knocked out in the play-in game last year and said, you're not going to want to see us next year. And look at them now. They just won their 4th in 8 years. From ownership to coach to player, it is a world-class organization who knows how to treat their guys, their players, everybody down to the janitor right. There have been so few teams to show us and accomplish what they have, and I can't name one of them who has been nearly as fun and as fluid. The San Antonio Spurs, back when they had their run, they were great to watch, but everybody admitted, everybody knew they were a little boring. You know what I mean? The Golden State Warriors, they have the three-point shooting. They have all that. They have the fast-paced basketball. They have created community. They've created culture, and they've created storyline throughout the last 8 years, which has been nothing short of amazing. The NBA is kings of storyline. That's why I love the NBA so much. Storylines are everywhere. And the Golden State Warriors chapter in the National Basketball Association's book has been amazing, extraordinary, the last 8 years. From the Splash Brothers to getting the villain, the Snake, and KD, to getting to KD leaving, Clay getting hurt, being at the bottom of the league for 2 years, to coming back and doing things the right way. Getting your rings the right way. That's an amazing chapter to read. Not only are they the best team in basketball, they have the ability to go on a run like this again next year. They just do it the right way, and smart wins in sports. We know it with New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Smart wins in sports. I've said it. Everything about them is just right. Owner, GM, coach, players, their arena, their bench, their defense. It's just all A++. Think back to the beginning of this series, everybody. The first 3 games. So many things that people thought were holes for the Golden State Warriors. Their size, their length. They solved all of them. And once again, the smartest team in the whole league made adjustments and exposed the Celtics. They pulled the right levers and pushed the right buttons at just the right time, which they exposed the Celtics. The Celtics' major issue was half-court offense. And the smartest team in the league, the smartest team for the last 8 years, with the smartest head coach who has learned from Michael, learned from Phil, learned from all these guys, smartest team in the league exposed it. The Celtics, the last 3 games, they could not even break 100 points against the Warriors. This dynasty, back to my original point, are they a dynasty? Without a doubt in my head, they are a dynasty. And they're different than any other one I've possibly ever seen. Personally, I was over New England Patriot football. I'm over Alabama football. Things like that, it gets tiring after a while. But there's something about developing your players and going through the shitter with KD leaving you and injuries that just has a likability to it and has a factor that draws me in. There's something better about buying a house and fixing it up compared to just buying a mansion. Pre-KD and post-KD were way different teams, and that just made them more likable. They haven't let fame, they haven't let money, or they haven't let social media fog them. All of these guys are humble. Steph and Clay. Everybody was against them a few years ago. But now, they traveled down the mountain. They fell down the mountain, actually. And they hiked their way back up. I couldn't care if they went on to win the next 2 titles. Good for them. Because now we're seeing something just like my take a few weeks ago. We're seeing something extraordinary Teams come back. Everybody, Michael Jordan, 3 years, 3 NBA championships. He had to take 2 years off. His father died. Baseball, everybody knows that story. Came back and won 3 more. When Michael came back, after losing his father, after being humbled in baseball, it only made people like him more. And now the Warriors, they just got humbled for the last 2 years. And it's only led people to like them more. They have always kept it about winning and about the essence of the sport, which is amazing. Moving on to my next topic today, staying with the NBA again. Kyrie Irving, there's been a lot of big news breaking around his name this week, so I wanted to get into it. Conversations with the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, do not seem to be going anywhere. The Nets supposedly feel trapped. That came out today via Woj. And they don't really want to alienate KD without another star. Without Kyrie, KD's going to be on an island by himself. But if they go and sign Kyrie, he's already said that he's thought about retirement. He could not play. A bunch of things could happen with Kyrie. And KD needed to put his foot down. He needs a star. He needs a reliable person. Now, the trade rumors that are coming out are Knicks and the Lakers are the front runners. Lakers are pulling away as the lead front team. And this is a guy, for me, if I was a GM of a basketball team, I never want somebody that's not reliable and not about winning. And I'm about to break all that down for you. What is Steph Curry? He's selfless and he's reliable. That's why you love him. That's why Steve Kerr loves him. He's reliable. You ever just have friends sometimes that you wouldn't call to take you to the hospital, or that you wouldn't call to take you to the airport because you know they're just not the most reliable guys in the world? Not just go, oh, I might have something like that. But Curry, LeBron James, Giannis, those are all reliable guys. They get called by their best friend, they're going. Kyrie, he's just not that guy. Kyrie is not reliable, and I'm asking a question. What does he provide for the Brooklyn Nets that they do not already have? Does he provide great leadership? No. Is he reliable? No. Is he defensive star? No. Does he have size? No. Can he distribute the basketball? Can he get others involved? Because we all know that's important. Oh, wait, he can't do that either. He is not replacing or he is not providing anything the Nets don't already have, which is a shooter. An unreliable shooter at that. All he is providing is 20 to 30 points and a jumper, and I just don't think he is committed to winning or cares. It's just not a priority for Kyrie Irving. But the Nets don't have the chemistry, leadership, defense, style, or length. And Kyrie does not fill any of those categories for them. In 3 years, he only played 103 games, missing a possible 123 games. And now twice he has leaned to not playing basketball. Once during the initial COVID, he was very vocal about not having this season, canceling the season, blah, blah, blah. But even though stars like LeBron James came out and we need to finish this season, we need to play basketball, committed to winning. And during last season, not playing basketball due to vaccination status and things like that, he sat out a ton of games for. Sacrifices like that is what gets your team to the championship, is what allows your team to be able to take the next steps. You to be there in practice, you to be there throughout the regular season games to build the chemistry the Nets don't have, to be a leader the Nets don't have. Kyrie Irving now twice has showed me he leans more personally than he does towards basketball, which is a mistake. And every GM needs to know that if it gets chosen between Kyrie Irving personal life and Kyrie Irving basketball team life, he's choosing himself personally. Both times, he has chose to shut it down. The Nets just don't need a guy like that. With the Lakers, they actually get a shooter. I can't believe I'm saying this because I am a Lakers fan. I don't follow a team heavy in the NBA, but when I do, I like to watch the Lakers. I don't want him, but for the Lakers, they get a shooter, which is what they were missing out on all last season. But this is just the last place I would be looking in LA's situation. This offseason is also the moment for LA to move off of Anthony Davis, which I have been saying now for months. If they don't move off AD now, they are going to be suffering for years to come because of it. Kyrie may not be an answer, but he may be an upgrade for the Lakers, and they're going to get rid of the piece of glass Anthony Davis. Speaking of which, Anthony Davis would fit into the Nets perfectly. He's got the defense, he's got the size, he's got the leadership that they are missing. So that trade is very justifiable. But you're going to reunite these guys, LeBron and Kyrie, who had all that beef just a few years ago. I just don't see it working. I see it not being another Russell Westbrook situation. KD also would get a guy who's bigger, can defend. We talked about that. KD would no longer feel alienated. It works out for both parties, him getting traded to the Lakers. But if I was a GM in this league, you couldn't pay me to touch Kyrie Irving with a 10-foot pole. It makes no sense why teams, organization, GMs would want him. He's not reliable, and he has such a small skill set that he's great at what he does, but his skill set's so small. He's got to fill into exactly what a team needs and needs to shut up while he's doing it. Going on to my last NBA topic for today. I'm just going to touch on the NBA draft a little bit tonight. Tonight, Thursday, June 23rd, first pick officially goes on the clock at 8 p.m. Eastern. The top 3 picks, as tweeted out by Woj, seem to be all locked up with a bunch of interesting guys who will be picked in the first 20 to 25 minutes. After that, it's going to be a bunch of college basketball stars that you and me probably haven't heard of. But the first pick overall, everybody's saying it's going to be Jabari Smith to Orlando. Second one, which I love the most, Chet Holmgren to Oklahoma City. He's coming out of Gonzaga. I think he's the most pro-ready player, and a lot of guys have been on him. And the last guy, Duke boy, you all know I'm a big Duke fan. Banchero coming out of Duke, going to Houston, number 3 overall. As I said, the draft starts at 8 p.m. tonight. It's on ESPN. You're not going to want to miss it. These guys, after working their entire lives, are being able to fulfill their dreams, accomplish their goals, and it's always a magical moment, so be sure to tune in. Next topic I want to get into today, we're transitioning leagues over the National Football League, the NFL. We're going to Rob Gronkowski's retirement that came out probably 72 to 96 hours ago. The NFL world has been reacting to it. Gronkowski, through his agent, said he could possibly come back mid-season if Tom calls. Just putting it out there, I think Tom is going to call, and I would bet Gronk could come back. That's just the type of dude he is. And my big takeaway from all of this, it's going to go back to how offense is taking over in this league. There is a real case to be made, everybody, that Rob Gronkowski is Bill Belichick's last great offensive talent drafted. The greatest head coach of all time, arguably the greatest head coach of all time. It's arguable that Rob Gronkowski was his last great draft on the offensive side of the ball, and that was over 10 years ago. Don't get me wrong, Nate Soldier, guys like that, solid right tackles, have been nice. But Gronk at a skill position was the last great offensive player. Let's look at the established guys in this league who are defensive. In 2021, Bill Belichick, he missed the playoffs. Mike Zimmer missed the playoffs, fired. Pete Carroll missed the playoffs, now stuck with Drew Lock. Mike Vrabel out in the first game of the playoffs. Mike Tomlin only made it to the wild card round, and as much as we all love Mike Tomlin, has not won a playoff game in 6 years. And Ron Rivera missed the playoffs. 6 big guys. 6 guys who are experienced in this league, older, and know how to go win games, get their team to the playoffs, and win more games in the playoffs. All missed or did not win a game once they got there. Bill Belichick now is trying to get more involved in offense, and I am not entirely sure if he knows how to solve this problem for his team. He's always been a defensive guy. Brady and Belichick, the greatest duo we have ever seen. Brady hid the offensive problems, and Gronk helped him do it for the last 10 years. Belichick's approach this offseason was to promote Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, disasters as head coaches when they tried to run their own organizations, to the offensive play calling spots, to a second-year quarterback who's not all that in a bag of chips. Don't get me wrong. Bill could prove every single hater wrong. He could make me eat my words inside of 2 weeks of the new season. Prove everybody wrong. He is one of the smartest and highest football IQ guys we have ever seen. But he does not know how to draft offense or design it. And I wonder, after seeing Brady and Gronk leave, if he even knows how to develop it. Brady, for 22 years, 22 seasons, the offense was run through Tom Brady. This super fierce, hyper-competitive, would get his teammates to the practice field at a high school practice field just to run routes in the middle of the offseason because he was always locked in on the next one. He handled the offense. And then he had Gronk, fun, playful guy, one of the best tight ends we've ever seen, be dominant and be a vibe. They controlled that offense for years. And whenever Brady needed a scapegoat, he just went to Gronk. Whenever Belichick needed a scapegoat, he went to Brady. And now Belichick is left without both of those scapegoats. All these leagues that we are watching are beginning to look different. Everything's changing. Leagues constantly change. Every 15 to 20 years, there's a major power shift to a different way, a different scheme. If you look at the NFL, it is demanding that you draft, you develop, and you design offense more than you ever have. The last topic that I want to get into today, it was just announced earlier today. Arch Manning is committing to Texas. Probably the most celebrated high school quarterback ever. A lot due to his family. A lot also due to how talented the kid is. Archman, everybody's just ecstatic. I cannot wait to see how the kid does in college. He's going to Texas, which I love. He's staying out of the SEC. Granted, Texas is moving to the SEC in 3 to 4 years. Arch will probably be gone by then, though. He's carving his own path in a different conference. Texas is in the Big 12 for the next 3 years. And I love the Manning family not giving pressure to follow in their footsteps and do what they did, go to the SEC, Ole Miss, or whatever. He gets to do what he wants to do, gets to go to a great location, Austin, Texas. It's a place rapidly growing, rapidly expanding, which Arch will step right into and will be celebrated there. He can chart his own path, and just imagine what we will see if he makes a team out of Texas. It would be awesome to see a Manning lead Texas into the playoffs. Just imagine. And with the new NIL deals now, I'm just wishing good luck to Oklahoma, Auburn, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss competing with Texas and Texas A&M, who have a shitload of cash. They have big booster money, big oil money. They have everything. And you're not going to be able to compete with them. If Texas likes a player, they're going out and they're buying them. They're getting them. It's happening. And this is what Nick Saban is terrified about. And those few big headlines a few weeks ago when he was talking to his boosters, saying he was worried he needs more money, it's because of this. Texas, if they see a good player and they want him, they're going to start getting them now. And I love the decision. Arch is going to come up with this program. He's going to bring it to a height that it has not seen in years. I think it will be great for him. College football is better with Texas in the mix. And overall, the kid is just an unbelievable talent. You know he's smart. You know he's well coached. He's a Manning. And the next 3 to 4 years of his life, until he someday gets drafted, hopefully, is going to be amazing to watch. And I'm thrilled for it. I'm sure everybody listening is equally as thrilled. That's all I'm going to have for you guys today. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another edition of The Adam Eisen Show. I will be back here in a week or so to bring you all episode 34. Until then, peace.